to make things better. And that's why we're all okay. Like I said, you didn't come to hear me. I'd like to introduce the chairman of our party. To introduce well, I'd like to introduce the chairman of our party to introduce.
Thank you, President Morgan. And thank you to everyone coming out here tonight. President Morgan told me I had about 60 seconds, so I'm going to talk fast. But I want to thank you all. You know, politics is cyclical. We had a tough November. We had a great candidate, Joe Loda, probably the most qualified candidate to run for mayor of the history of this city. Had a tremendous candidate in the handsome John Burnett over there. Who we will see more of. I told him, like, being in Republican politics is like being in the CIA, once in, never out. So we will see him running again. We have a great opportunity, and Mike Zlambuskas touched on it earlier, and I want to thank Mike for taking up the cause to run against Liz Kruger, to help support Dave with the Independence Party, and I thank you, my friend, for doing what you did for us. And to Nick, also a tremendous candidate, running against Carol Maloney. This is actually the first time in 6 years that here in Manhattan we have a full slate of congressional candidates running. And we will repeat that come November. We will have candidates in every assembly and state senate district. But, you know, just touching briefly with Mayor de Blasio, I saw the other day that his approval rating is at 39%, 1% higher than President Obama's, and I'm like, what's going on? Why is it so high? It's going to get worse for him because he's getting hit left and right. He's an ideologue. He was ill-prepared to be mayor of this city, and the way he has conducted himself in the last 2 months has shown that to be true. He's antagonizing the people on the left. He's antagonizing the people on the right. And most importantly, he's antagonizing everybody in the middle. And it is incumbent upon us as a Republican Party to take advantage of those opportunities. I've said to people that his election was the best thing to happen to us institutionally in 20 years. And we as Republican activists in the city, we need to step up to that challenge. And we will do so by running the types of candidates that we have. Now, tonight it's Dave's night. This is his kickoff. You know, there's a saying that in life as in politics, third time's a charm. So I have a feeling that this time he's going to run a tremendous race. He's got the Morgans, the senior and the junior, and he couldn't ask for a better team with a lot of dedicated volunteers. You know, having watched Dave run his 2 campaigns, he's developed traction. He's done the nuts and bolts in terms of getting building captains. You know, Manhattan is the most difficult county in the 5 boroughs to run in because we're the only county where you can't go door to door. And that retail politics is so important and it's so difficult to do here in Manhattan. But he's going to build upon the success that he had in the last 2 races. He's got a great group of people, and judging by the support you have here tonight, Dave, I know you're going to run a fantastic campaign. We're going to do everything we can, get the Independence Party to help you with your running mates. You can do a great job, and I wish you the best of luck, and look forward to calling you Assemblyman in November. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks, everyone. First of all, I want to know what's wrong with my glad-handing skills.
I say one negative thing.
Well, what I lack in glad-handing ability, I make up for in witty banter and. But no, thank you all for coming out tonight. It's great to see so many people here. A lot of old faces, familiar faces, and a lot of new faces too, which I love. You know, and I want to. You know, I know that we sold out the event tonight, actually. So thank you. It's a great way to launch our campaign for this season. Yep. I want to thank Robert in particular for helping us get this off the ground. Robert's been doing a fantastic job as campaign manager. And I know you're not just here for the bottomless margaritas. Or just solely. Yeah, you're also here to support the candidates, our teams, and also our vision for the city. Because as Mike pointed out, this progressive liberalism, or as somebody, the phrase brought up tonight, totalitarian liberalism, is failing us miserably. So let me start off with a joke. So a priest and a rabbi go to a boxing match. They go to a boxing match. And they sit down, and the 2 boxers come into the ring, and they go to their respective corners. And one of the rabbi knows one of the boxers, just before the bell rings, he makes a sign of the cross. And he leans over the priest and he says, isn't that one of your guys? So what does this mean? What's he doing? He said, and so the priest says to the rabbi, he says, That's, well, actually, that doesn't mean shit if you can't fight. And that's the truth here. I mean, excuse my French. There you go. So, look, I mean, this is our inaugural fundraiser. We were all here a year ago, but this doesn't mean shit if we can't win. To be totally blunt. We're going to win this time. We're going to win this time. As Dan said, third time's the charm. And in a few minutes, I'm going to tell you, or a couple of short minutes, because I don't want you to keep you away from the margaritas too much longer. But we're going to tell you how, because we know how this time. But you know, I've been told to use cue cards because I keep forgetting to mention all the people that have contributed, because there's so many of you. But as everybody has said before me, you know, New York needs more than ever right now. We need a win, because it baffles the mind to think that Albany and the government of Andrew Cuomo has actually been somewhat of the voice of reason now, and a bulwark against the radical liberalism of New York City. You know, when you look at the statistics for New York, the Empire State, New York, the state that used to be the envy of not just the United States, but the envy of the world, a place that everybody wanted to come to, we ranked dead last in almost every measure available. For years now, we've been last in business climate. Businesses do not want to be here. Personal freedom, dead last. We have the highest personal income taxes of anywhere in the United States. We have, and by the way, for de Blasio believes that raising taxes on the rich is going to solve our fiscal problems. Not only do we have the highest taxes in the country, but we also have the biggest debt burden of any state in the United States. The debt burden of New York State right now is $350 billion.
Really?
So that's $20,000 for every man, woman, and child in New York. And the people who are most able to pay that off are the ones that are leaving in droves. In fact, Palm Beach, Florida, sold nearly $1 billion worth of real estate in the past 6 months.
Wow.
They've had their best year in their history.
I was there this weekend looking for a house.
See? Proof, living proof right there, right? So,
Palm Beach County, because I have to get out of New York.
and now we have a mayor who's one of the few things that have actually worked for this city, charter schools, to lift our poor out of poverty and give them a real fighting chance at an education and a job and a future of prosperity, is being attacked right now by our mayor. It really baffles the mind. If you were from another world, if you were an extraterrestrial, and you land in New York and you looked at the government of New York City and New York State right now, you wouldn't compute. It doesn't make any sense. The things that work are being attacked, and the things that don't work are being lauded and raised up and given as, you know, some sort of status like they're going to save our city and our state. So we need more than ever, like I said, we need some good governance. We need a bulwark. We need some defense against this radicalism that is just barely beginning here in New York City. I'm not running because it's an easy job to do. I've done it 3 times. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of heartache when you don't pull it off in the last minute. It's devastating. I won't lie to you. I mean, November 5th last year, we believed we were going to win. We were the better candidate. We were just as well financed as them. And at the end of the day, we had just as many Democrats as Republicans voting for me in this race. So we had everything going for us. We also had local issues that were in our favor, such as the dump, which continues to be in our favor. We had everything going for us. Now I'll tell you in just a minute what it is I feel went wrong. But it was devastating. So I'm not here because I enjoy this. I'm not a masochist. And I have better things, quite frankly, I could be doing. But I cannot sit by and watch while this city and this state that I call home and love is slowly washed down the drain. It's unbelievable. Somebody has to stand up for common sense, for reason, and to fight back. And fortunately, I think that more, not just us, because we're singing to the choir here, let's be honest. And there are a number of Democrats in the room too. But we're singing to, we all understand, we all know this. But I think finally people are waking up As Dan said, you know, politics is cyclical. And this nonsense cannot go on forever. So I think finally people are waking up. So we need a solution for our state. There's a lot, I mean, New York can be the Empire State again. There's a number of things on a state level that could be done that could really lift us out of poverty. I know fracking has been beaten and talked about over and over again. But we have, for those of you who don't know, we have these natural resources under our land that are available for us, but are being pumped out. It's currently being pumped out by Pennsylvania at Mangle. Pennsylvania, I mean, they're talking about the ecological effects and the concerns about this. It's being taken out of the ground no matter whether we do it or somebody else. If you look at the economics of this natural resource in New York State, unemployment could be, which is now 35th in the country, could be where North Dakota is about 2%, #1 in the country, lowest unemployment rate. We could lower taxes, and we could get our unemployment rate down to maybe not 2%, but close to it. We could lower unemployment. We could totally turn this and knock off some of that debt, just with that one resource. And yet, the folks in Albany are not even willing to take a look at it. Not even willing, out of hand, not willing to take a look at it. This would enable the platform from top to bottom, lower taxes, lower unemployment, and jobs for people, who are really hurting right now, not just in New York, but across the state. The unemployment rate, if you move around upstate, if you look around what's going on there, it's absolutely devastating. And we have the opportunity to turn that around, yet nobody's willing to take a look at it. So, look, we can't continue this forever. We can't continue in this reckless behavior. We can't continue on the same path we're on, because at the end of the road, it's not to be an alarmist, but this could return to something along the lines of the 70s. I mean, that is possible. We're already seeing sort of the early effects of bad governance and bad policy. I want New York to be #1 again in education. I want to support charter schools, because this is one of the best chances we have to lift the poor out of poverty and to grow our state for the long term. I want to get technology here. I really want to create bigger tax incentives to bring new businesses, particularly in the high-tech industry, back to New York. And the finance industry, we're waiting for it to come back. It's never going to be the way it was 8 years ago. That's just a fact. We have to find alternatives, and we need to promote other industries to come into the city to create jobs. Open up the energy industry, alternative energy as well. And then on a local level, the nonsense about the dump, I mean, you've heard it time and time again. It's still going on. It's still going on. And yet another example of what is completely baffling, just ideological bad governance. So from top to bottom, we've got issues that could be turned around. It'd be so easy to make New York the Empire State, make New York #1, or at least in the top 10 again. It's so easy. And yet we're fighting an ideological battle that we can win, but we haven't won yet. So, but we need your support to do this. Just briefly, I'll tell you what I think went wrong last year. Why did we not win? We got over a third of the vote in a three-way race, and we had two issues. One is that we started late. We started too late. This inaugural fundraiser last year, we started in June, July. It was in the summer. This year, we saw what we did wrong, and we're correcting it. So we're launching now. It's still winter, although today feels like the beginning of spring. Thank God. Yeah, that's. But we're correcting that issue, and we've got an additional 4 months, which in an election is an eternity. Secondly, it was mentioned before, is voter turnout was dismal. We had 26% voter turnout in the city. Republicans, which typically vote more than Democrats, have higher because they're more responsible, I guess, was lower. It was horrific. I mean, the Republican turnout this past election was horrific. We had nearly as many Democrats vote for me, as I said, as Republicans. We need to change that. And as Dan mentioned, Chairman Isaacs mentioned, we have the building captain system, which is really the grassroots reaching out to people on an individual level, on a personal level, that the Democrats are so good at. This is how they win elections, even national elections. We started building that last year, and we need to make it work. We're going to make it work this year. So these are two areas, and then also micro-targeting. So we really got smart last year. In spite of all the mistakes we made, we got smart. We learned a lot. And also, I have the best name idea of anybody in the district right now. For those of you who know the race at all, there are 6 Democrats currently, well, 4 I think, 2 more potentially running for the primary on the Democratic line. Right now I'm running unopposed. And we're going to use this 4 months or 3 months before the primary to really continue to build on name ID, because by far and away, it's an open seat too. So none of the Democrats are recognized by name. And if for those of you who looked closely at the numbers, you'll know that Joe Loda actually won this assembly
He
district.
did, yes,
You did?
they did, yeah.
So the people have spoken. We need to be able to tap into that more. And by using the extra 4 months and the targeting specifically of the Republicans who come out to vote, and also the Democrats who have woken up and smelled the coffee, we're going to make it happen this year. We're talking, in real numbers, this is really a graspable number. We're talking 3,000 more votes.
All right.
3,000 votes to win this seat. And can you imagine what would happen, not just in New York City, but across the country, if a Republican won a seat in Manhattan for the first time in over a decade? We would actually have a real platform from which to speak the truth. So this is where it all began last year, and this is where it all begins this year. This is a new year, this is a new race, and we've got a whole bunch of new wings supporting us through this race, supporting us through November. As many of you said, 3rd time's the charm, and this is it. And I can't thank you enough for being here tonight. Sold out crowd, bottomless margaritas, fajitas, and you can eat. And a shout out to Mary Silva, the owner of this restaurant. Who is also friendly to our cause. So thank you all for coming out tonight. Please come out and say hi.
Guys, thank you. I didn't mention,